Over here to the left, Cease.
Okay, when you reviewed the tape of the offensive line, how do you feel they played, and where do you see this group moving forward in the last half of the season?
Well, I think that there's some good and some bad. You know, I think everybody's had problems running the ball in Alabama. You know, sometimes we were able. You look back at Trey Carson's per carry average; it wasn't that bad. You know, we didn't give it to him a lot. The game dictated that. You know, we got behind due to turnovers and putting points on the board for the other team. So statistically, like I said after the game, you know, we didn't have enough rushes, number one, but there's some other mitigating factors involved in that, like being behind in the game by a couple scores. So trying to jump back in there, I think, you know, that front is exceptional. We knew that going into it. They hadn't given up a 100-yard rushing game to anybody. We were determined to be efficient in our running game. We weren't that, and the number of rushes were cut down a lot because of what the game dictated to try to get back in this thing. So are we there yet? No. Are we working at it? Yes. And you know, give credit where credit's due, but we certainly need to improve in that area.
Down front, Brent.
When you talked about James White, you used the word snake bit with him. Do you sometimes feel like that could apply to the entire position at this point because of your lack of numbers there?
No.
Talking about
Trey,
no Jay Bradford, no James White, no Kendall Bussey on down
but Trey, you know, but Trey, we've redshirted Kendall. Right. So, but Trey I can't apply it to the whole position because I couldn't be happier with Trey Carson's effort. I mean, Trey has been awesome this year as far as a leader, as far as a guy who's run the ball, who's taken a lot of shots, who so no, I don't say that for the whole position because of how Trey has really put things on his back and has handled this whole deal. You know, with Brandon moving the corner, there's a couple factors in there, but you know, I would say that's more about James White. You know, just trying to get him back and get him healthy.
Down front here, Suzanne.
You said you were going to look at the video on the interceptions for Kyle and Kyler. Now looking on it, can you dissect what happened on them?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we need to play better at the position, and I think that you know, those guys will be the first to tell you that. There's probably one of them that we could have had a better route out of the situation. But we put ourselves in that situation too. I think, you know, you go back and you look at the beginning of the game, in all the plays that were run, everything that we threw, you know, basically we made really two competitive plays on the perimeter with our receivers. We made one with Ricky down the hash late in the game, and one with Josh Reynolds. The rest of them, you know, the deep ball to Christian, ball gets away. Ricky's first one on the sideline, knocked out. After the field goal, you know, it's first and, I mean, after the block punt, you know, we've got a chance and we get one ripped out on the sideline. We throw a touchdown down there, Speedy, it gets ripped out of his hands. So every competitive situation that we had with those balls, you know, we've got to do a better job at receiver, number one, to handle those, and we've got to have better ball security with our quarterbacks because it creates a situation where, you know, you're just trying to make a play at this point. And the last one, you know, like that's uncharacteristic of Kyle, the last interception. So, you know, there's a combination of all those things. There's nothing that up to that point, to that game, that would lead you to believe that something like that's going to happen. I think he was at the top or either leading or second in the league in pass efficiency going into the game. And we've done a great job with ball security, but for whatever reason that happened. We've looked at the video. We got to get some things corrected. We got to play better at that position, but we also, these 50-50 balls, these competitive balls, we need to go back to making plays on those instead of them coming up being incompletions and drive enders. Does that make sense? So in a game like that, you know, I think for young quarterbacks, it's important also to know, hey, we drove the ball to the 50. you know, we're not going to score every time. I know that our fans want us to score every time. They think we should every time. But in a game like that against that defense, flipping the field at the 50 and punting it and playing good defense, which we have an opportunity to do now, and playing a field position game is okay. And I think, you know, you watch it and you talk to guys, you talk to them, and our guys pressed a little bit, trying to make things happen. And maybe forcing some things that weren't there, and that's a terrible time for it, but it's a learning experience, and it's one that I think you know that these two guys will learn from.
Go right behind to the right, Gabe.
Kevin, where you are numbers-wise at running back, Brandon Williams' experience back there and adds a little juice. Could you see him as a true two-way player? You've used him some, but I mean even more than you have.
Yeah,
before.
we've used him some. Yeah, we'll continue to use him some, but he's been playing pretty good at corner. You know, those are decisions that we've made. That you know, if you look up and then, well, what's going on with the defense? You know what I mean? So, you know, you guys, we'd be in here talking about, well, you got one corner over there now. You know, so, you know, that's where we are. And that's a decision we made early. You know, I think that. You know, we're playing pretty good in the secondary now. There's a chemistry that gets Nick Harvey in a rotation to come in and not have Nick Harvey have to be that guy all the time. And Nick Harvey's comfortable with that. Nick Harvey's going to be a great player here, but he doesn't have to be an every down corner right now. He could come in the game and play very well. He's been playing very well in the run support Saturday. And back in the back end. So, you know, Brandon has given that, and Devontae, you know, have been solid. Nick has shored that up and kind of been rotating with those guys to get them off the field. So, you know, we need him, and we need him, and that's paid dividends for us defensively for what we do. You know, we just got to, you know, there was no way to forecast what was going to happen, obviously, with when we made the decision with James White.
Go to the left.
Which, by the way, he's getting better, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
To the left, Zach.
No injury report yet.
Sam's not here. That's
I've
right.
wore him down. I've worn him. I'll tell you this. I will say this. Terralaka is out for the season, and he had. It's been a tough time for him. He dislocated an elbow during fall camp, and then had a severe illness in his family with his dad. And, I mean, right after that, his dad was out of the country, and that was a difficult time for him mentally. He came back and had a torn rotator cuff, about 3/4 of it, or a torn labrum. And so, you know, the decision was made to just have him have surgery, and he'll fall under the time frame of we'll apply for medical red shirt. I think he'll get this year back, and it's a time for him to just get back together mentally and physically. And with the surgery being this early, you know, we'll have an opportunity to get him back for spring football, which we're going to need him next year.
Go to the left, Zach.
Coach, I was going to ask about the linebacking core being shorthanded without Ataro last game, the adjustments they were able to make, and your takeaway from their performance.
There's a guy, some number 7 went running out there and made a couple tackles. So you guys aren't even laughing today. Richard Moore came in and I thought did a pretty good job. You know, he gave us some juice. Everybody was a little bit nervous. I was a little bit nervous. Obviously, Richard wasn't, because he played with emotion. He flew around. He made some mistakes, but he made his presence known. And, you know, had a couple solo tackles, running guys down from behind. He's a guy who has struggled off and on in fall camp with some injuries, you know, with some just the strains and just things he wasn't used to in high school. But a guy that comes out of a program that's played a lot of football and state championship style football. So you worry about young guys being overwhelmed. He was far from overwhelmed by the atmosphere. He was excited to play, and within the first couple of plays, he's making tackles. So, you know, good for him. And that gives us another guy that can help us with Sean and AJ and, the young linebackers that we have. I think you saw Claude George make a couple plays too. He's getting better, and the guy can run. It's the transition from junior college to now has been, a little bit. The processing for him has been a little bit slower, but I think more than anything else, Coach Chavis, what he has done is given us the best opportunity with the people on the field and playing guys at certain times. We're a better nickel team against some people than when we're low on linebackers with Donovan Wilson playing at that Sam linebacker position. Richard brings us a little bit more juice at the Sam linebacker position, a little more size than Donovan. Not much more, but a little bit more pop. And then, to get AJ off the field, Claude George has continued to get better and make plays. So, those guys are coming along. The interesting thing is the guys that I just mentioned, hardly any of them played last year. So, they're there, they're getting better. Are they there yet? No, but I think, with the exception of Sean Washington, the guys that I just talked about, AJ's the only guy that played in part of a game a year ago.
Go to the back, Darrell, and then down front, Brent.
Coach, can you address Ole Miss's ability to be able to, I guess, put the ball in the end zone, score points? I think they lead the SEC in scoring, and Chad Kelly's not a bad quarterback back there either.
No, Chad Kelly's a big, strong guy. He's got a great arm, live arm, and their perimeter guys are fabulous. They've got exceptional talent on the outside. You look at what they've done. They had a couple 70-point games early in the year that drives that average up a lot, but there's no doubt. He's got quality receivers across the board. Arguably the best, one of the best receivers in the country that he's throwing to, along with 3 or 4 or 5 other guys, a couple guys we tried to recruit actually that he's throwing to. And then I think, again, a guy that's kind of a hybrid, one of the great tight ends in this league, a little bit like what we faced at Arkansas. So they've got good players on the perimeter. And a running back that is a live wire back there. He can find holes. He can skip around a little bit. Great return guy too. So, offensively they've got weapons and a quarterback that can get it to him all over the field in different ways. And whether it's short or he's got the arm to get the ball down the field to some of these guys that can really scoot. So that they've been putting up lots of points, and you can see why on tape.
Go down front, Brent.
How would you evaluate, or are you satisfied with the tempo of your offense? Is it doing what you want to do in terms of speed?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, everybody's – it's funny. We got here, they said, well, you're going too fast. You don't play football like this league. Now we've slowed down. Everybody's like, we're going too slow. So, I think it's what you want to be. We had 70 plays Saturday. Alabama had 70 plays. And Alabama's gone no huddle in tempo. So, that's where it is, and I think you're at a point where we're kind of in between. The tempo does you a lot of good when you're making first downs. If you're not, then you could have another situation like you had a year ago at Alabama. If you're not making first downs, you're off the field in 19 seconds. So, all that goes hand in hand. I think what you're seeing out of us is a little different style of offense, a little different style of what we're doing, and so the tempo it changes during the game. We'll go fast as anybody at certain times, and we'll slow it back down a little bit. But from an average play standpoint, we're still up there, even with people who have tried to hold the ball, like Arkansas, and so. That's all part of it. When you're changing personnel, when you have more personnel than just 4 wide receivers on the field, your tempo is going to change. When you're running big guys on the field too. So that's a decision that we've made, and the decision was based on this. You can always, I think I heard Hugh say this last year when their defense was better, they slowed down. You can always slow down. Most teams can't speed up when they need to. And so, we practice at that tempo. We do a lot of things at tempo. We have the ability to do that, but we also want to get it right. And so, yeah, I think, we're right there where we need to be play wise. We got enough plays, and to me, it hasn't been a factor. I think the big factor Saturday was turnovers. You get 24 points put 24 points up on the other team's scoreboard, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, that's the issue. And we've been really good in that area. Coming into that week, 2 weeks in a row, we're
+2.
+2. No turnovers 2 weeks in a row and getting 2, and then we come back and go, we give away 4 and get 1 and give up 24 points to that. So, offensively, it was about efficiency, and tempo is a part of that, and being able to use it back and forth becomes a part of that too.
We're going to Lee Benson, and then Darrell, you wrap us up.
Coach, historically your teams have been pretty good on the road, and now you get out of Texas for the first time. Are you eager to see how your team faces that challenge in a true road environment for the first time this year?
We've been on the road. We've been on the road in Houston. We've been on the road in Dallas.
Texas, now you're in a true road game.
So when we cross the state line, we're on the road. That's right.
He's messing with you.
I know. You know what? It's here's what's going to be important. We've been over there. This is what you're missing. Okay, we've been there 3 times in 4 years. This will be the 3rd time in 4 years. So we're used to going over there. How about that?
Darrell?
I don't know how that schedule worked, but that's the way it worked. And every time it's been cold and rainy, just like it will be this Saturday. So it's not going to be any different than any of the other times we've been there.
Darrell, wrap us up.
I know a lot of times that you've seen bizarre plays in college football, and you've said, hey, I got to write this down because we got to practice this. When you saw the way the Michigan game finished up, is that something that you guys have already practiced, or is that something that you're practicing now?
What do you mean, practice fumbling the ball, or
I mean, do you practice
or picking
the fact?
it up, or
do you practice the fact, hey, fall down on the ball, don't try to kick it. We don't need you to kick the ball. We just need you to recover it.
no? And I doubt that any of the other 128 teams have practiced that either, or whatever there is.
I just didn't know if that was something that you would tell a guy, hey, if you fumble the snap, just fall.
Well, that's easy. Here's what happens, Darrell. You cover everything you can cover, right? And every year there's something that comes up, or every week there's something that comes up that you're like, what would your guy do? Even if just like last week, when you're in that situation, it's easy for you to say, hey, I told him that. But when you're in that situation, there's decisions being made. And so just because you told him doesn't mean that always happens. Let's put it that way. Does that make sense?
Very good. Thanks, Coach.
All right. All right. Appreciate it.